Hello, I'm here again, Santiago Laurent. I'm pleased to announce and to present our next guest is Laurent Verdier. He's the CTO for Emea in Microsoft. Hello, Laurent. Are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. Thank you very much.
Sounds good.
So we're very grateful to have you here and count on you in order to deliver the next valuable presentation. The building business value with cloud adoption. Before we start, I would like to point you that you can ask any questions in your question mark in the tool. So we will be happy to respond some of them at the end. Probably the time will be short, so let's try to keep it consistent. Laurent, if you are ready, the floor is yours.
Okay, so let me share my screen. This one. Is everything okay? Okay, so hello. So I'm Laurent Verdier. I'm working in the worldwide financial services team at Microsoft, which is a team that is focusing on go-to-market and solutions specifically for financial services. And I have a role of CTO in Emea, which means that I'm the guy that is trying to make the bridge between the technology and the business ambitions and the business needs of our customers. Okay, so what I'm going to share with you today is a research that we have been making for, let's say, the last 5 years on...
Ron, I cannot see your presentation if you're sharing your screen.
Are you seeing? Should be. Is it?
Not yet.
Is it okay?
Not yet. I cannot. I only see you. That's what I mean.
You only see me, but I'm sharing my screen. So let me restart and share my screen again.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you cannot see it, that's a pretty embarrassing. So share screen. Sorry for that. Display settings, switch. Is that better?
Yeah, much better.
Much better. So sorry for that. So that was the yes, the first slide I was speaking on. So sorry for that, guys. But you know, as a Microsoft guys, I'm more used to play with Teams than Zoom. So anyway. So let me move to the next one. So yes, so what I was saying is I want to show you today a presentation about a research that we have been making the last 5 years on how financial industry companies, meaning banking industry and insurance industry, are adopting the cloud, and for what they are doing that, how can we help the banks and the insurers to achieve their goal in terms of building business value, which means really understanding what are the business value that we should focus on. So we have been using a data-driven kind of approach, which means that leveraging data, we are able to look at what's really happening in the industry, and I will share some of that with you. Yeah, so this is the purpose of my presentation today. I will also share some market trends as we are able to see them today, some patterns. So I would like to start with framing what is the business value for a customer, for a bank. What is the business value? How can we frame it? So very basically, four kind of pillars in building the business value. Pillars that you obviously know, like economic efficiency, agility, and speed delivery, digital products with artificial intelligence and Internet of Things, this kind of value, plus the capability to modernize and simplify business processes by adoption of solutions as a service. More and more companies are delivering their software through SaaS solutions. And this is the value that you can get. And depending on the objective, these four pillars are added through the journey. There are two big risk factors to the achievement of the value. These risk factors are first, let's say the risk itself in terms of security, in terms of compliance. Obviously, going to the cloud requires some effort in terms of adopting the right posture, in terms of security and compliance. And if it's not done, everybody is not willing to be shown in the papers with data leakage or this kind of thing. So this risk factor is super important to be achieved. And the second risk factor to the achievement of the value that you can build is the new culture of the enterprise. Just to illustrate that, it's not only about just saying that I'm agile to be agile. That means that the agility has to be implemented in terms of culture, in terms of processes, and everywhere in the company. This is, by the way, the two big things that we see that are blocking cloud adoption and transformation, digital transformation in our customers. So these two topics are really important. They could be considered as a risk factor, but they also could be considered as accelerators, depending on if you look at that from a negative or positive way. But investing in these two areas is key for the digital transformation and the cloud adoption. And honestly, building value is not looking just at a snapshot of the different elements that I've been showing. The value is built on a journey, on a transformation journey, which means that we need to move the traditional operating models where most of the banking industry is still today. The banking industry is still conservative most of the time. And there is a big need to move to a more digital operating model, which means being able to leverage things like digital feedback loops to manage the business and being able to be more data driven and so on. So this is how we have been simplifying through this little equation. What are the key parameters of the value, the business value for a journey to the cloud? And of course, the business value is not only cost reduction, it impacts two things, which is the cost transformation, which most of the people, and specifically infrastructure, IT people, are looking for: cost transformation, cost reduction, moving from CapEx to OpEx. But it's also about revenue transformation. So the real question is, if I am not in the cloud, what I'm going to miss as a new revenue? This is the idea. So to be able to put some tangible numbers inside the equation, the first thing that we have been doing is to say, let's look at these services, and you recognize here, this is the map of the services of Azure, a lot of services, and we are presenting them like the ingredients in a grocery. You know, they are on the shelves. This is the way we build it. This is the way we sell it. But the most important thing is to look at them through the lens of how you guys are going to consume it, to consume them. Okay. And so what we have been doing is just moving these services one by one in the 9 categories that we have been discussing with customers, being the most important categories of technology that our customers are consuming. From the bottom to the top, in blue, what we call the foundation services, where you build the security, you build the new infrastructure in the data center, you leverage advanced computing, big computing, this kind of thing, which are really infrastructure oriented, driven most of the time by IT people. And when I say IT, most infrastructure and operations people. The second layer that we have called the adoption layer is the layer where the developers develop the new applications, the modernization layer, okay? From the tools, the containers, the database as a service, the API management, and other advanced functions that helps to build the modern architecture. And this layer obviously is driven by the developers organizations across the bank. At the top, in red here, this is what we have called the transformation layer or innovation layer, which is driven by the business needs. Okay, there is no reason for a bank today to leverage this kind of data if there is no clear business needs. And this is addressing things like from the big data stores to the analytics and the very advanced workloads, artificial intelligence, and all these kind of things. So the first step that we have been doing is transferring all these shelves, putting them into these 9 categories that you can consider as being your kitchen. You are not storing the ingredients like you have been buying them in the grocery. You are sorting them in your kitchen in the way you are going to cook with them to do the best meal possible, okay? So this is how we have been moving from a very product-centric view to a customer usage-centric view. The second question that raised is, okay, so we have been sorting the services into a framework that is customer-centric, but the real question is in which kind of usage, what kind of business ambitions can we address with these services, okay? And so we are leveraging here the Horizon framework, which is coming from McKinsey, which is to say there is 3 kinds of Horizon in which our customers, the banks, are leveraging the cloud. What we call the Horizon 1, which is really everything that people do to optimize their market positions, okay? And we are looking at that from a business perspective. So optimizing business market positions. Horizon 2 is everything that you do to improve your market positions. Improving market positions today is 2 things. Is first, being quicker to the market, so increase the speed to market. And second, to take better decisions about products or customers by leveraging analytics. And Horizon 3 is everything you do to go to new markets, saying that the new market today is obviously digital and will require things like artificial intelligence, so advanced services. Just for to explain, this is not sequential, okay? You don't do first the Horizon 1, then the Horizon 2, then the Horizon 3. Everything is done at the same time. Just the horizon of achievement and building value is different. So all the banks are running projects into each of the horizon at the same time. And this is how it works. So you remember the model where we have been classifying the different services that you guys leverage to build your applications. So in yellow, this is what we have been learning. These are the services that are used by our customers in optimization kind of objective. The second layer, this second group of services in blue here are the ones that are leveraged by our customers to improve their market position. And this green one are the ones that are used to develop new market positions. Okay. this is the framework that we have been building, discussing with customers. The very good news here is that everything is measurable. Okay, so this framework is really to understand what the banking industry is doing, what are the key workloads that are developed, what are the ones that are successful, are the workloads that are developed, mapped to business ambitions. This is what we try to achieve here. And of course, we have been adding to that a framework that helps to understand the digital work, how the banking industry, how our customers are progressing into their digital work, from leveraging the very basic services from, just Office or Exchange, which are still the very basic way of leveraging the Microsoft 365, to moving more to communications, and obviously leveraging things like Teams, etc., to be able to communicate. And of course, the pandemic has had already a huge effect on that. And third, moving to more integrated collaboration, digital collaboration, leveraging very advanced tools like the Power Platform, etc., etc. So this is how it appears. Okay, this is the model, and there is one thing which is super important. Okay, and by the way, which is key as I understand the topic of this conference. This is the change management that needs to happen. There will be no benefits of adopting cloud if there is not, in parallel, a transformation plan to be achieved. Okay, which means mapping to these different layers, to these different horizons that I've been explaining. The organization needs to move from a very traditional operating model, where we still see a lot of our customers being today, to a very full digital operating model, the one that we see in the neobanks coming, leveraging digital feedback loops, taking decisions based on data, etc., etc. And this journey is absolutely fundamental to be able to get the value of the technology implementations in the cloud. And obviously, it's progressive, moving from agile IT operating models like first level of DevOps in IT, and moving to more agile business operations, including the operations of the business into the operating model. These are the kind of business value that you address, being at the different level of the model, from optimizing costs, being able to scale, delivering agility and speed, being able to make better decisions with data, and obviously being able to really innovate and enhance the customer experience. So let's move. Okay, I've finished. I'm sorry, it has been a little bit long, but I needed to put in place the framework, because we are going to look at data, and it's important that you can understand what's really behind the data. So let's start very simply. What have we been seeing during the last 3 years in terms of digital work adoption? Each of the bubble here represent a position at the date which is written here. So starting in 2019, the digital work was very, very basic in the banking industry. We all know what there was still a lot of discussions around compliance, around security, blah, 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 and everything has been progressing really fast. So slow movement until 2020, and then a huge progress in 2021. So no surprise here. What has been happening is that the pandemic has opened the doors of the usage of Teams here. This is Teams that is measuring, bringing the maturity of the banks in this area at a new level, at a new level of digital. But maybe what is more interesting is looking at the platform. The platform itself which is you recognize the model from the Horizon 1 kind of usage of the platform, Horizon 2 kind of usage of the platform, Horizon 3 kind of usage. Again, Horizon 1, optimizations, IT driven, blue, Horizon 2, better decision making with data, data driven operations, and agility and speed. And 3, Horizon 3 here, innovation. Okay. Again, each of the bubble is the position of the top top 20 banks in Asia through the different years. So starting in 2018, in a small bubble here, the size of the bubble is the level of usage. So starting in with very specific needs in 2018, and then moving into this area in 2019, 2020, which means that the cloud adoption has been driven by the need of agility and speed to market. So these are the business ambitions that have been addressed since 2018 to 2020 by cloud adoptions in the banks that have been the most advanced in cloud usage. Okay. So moving then to the center here. So what we are seeing is obviously that the usage is growing. It's like being multiplied by 2 times each year, at least, and even accelerating on that. Being more systematic in cloud options. So started here with very specific workloads, now moving to more systematic adoption, meaning more infrastructure, meaning more security, meaning more data center transformation. And then what we see in 2021 is the progression of this bubble towards the top, which means that the banks are today looking at the analytics in the cloud, so the data in the cloud. This is really the topic that is at the center of all the big discussions that we are having with customers. It's really about leveraging data in the cloud. What we expect in 2025 is this bubble positioning of the industry, moving to more advanced workloads, more artificial intelligence, and so on. Okay, so and what I'm showing here is really data driven. Okay, so maybe it can just kill some myth where cloud adoption has not been used at the beginning to transform the data centers. It has really been something to enhance the market positions, increasing the agility, increasing the way to address markets with data-driven approach, which, by the way, is completely aligned with the topic of our conference today on DevOps and so on. Okay, so let me move. To be more tangible, we have been looking at some data, market data that has been published here. I'm leveraging a document from Accenture, which is the cloud imperative for banking industry. If you haven't read it, please do. It's a very interesting one. We have not been participating in the way it has been written, but I'm fully aligned, and we're fully aligned with what is said in this. What is super interesting is that they give benchmarks. They give benchmarks on what kind of, how much of value the banks have been getting with different scenarios in the cloud. So it's just telling you that, for example, being here means that they have been able to do like 20 to 60% reduction in technology cost and other characteristics. Okay, so really demonstrating that the value that you are getting is not only cost reduction, but it's also uplift. So more business being able to grow markets and things like that. So I will not go in details during this presentation, but probably you will get the slides later. I'm happy to let them and then you will be able to see how you can estimate the value that you generate building a journey to the cloud for the bank. And you have the same kind of approach here with the digital work capabilities that are implemented, and what does it mean in terms of business value capabilities that you're able to derive from that. Okay. We have been looking at an average, and an average is an average. It's not always looking at really what's happening at the bank's level. So what we are showing here is some banking patterns. Often the banks are asking, our customers are asking, where should I start? What is the logical path to go to the cloud? All these kind of questions. And the answer here is, well, it depends on your business ambitions and what you try to achieve right now. Don't forget that it's not only a technical question, it's really about culture, it's really about evolving the operating model. So what I'm showing here are 4 examples of banks that are part of the benchmark that I've been showing earlier, and their journey to the cloud. All of these banks here are super happy with what they have been doing with the cloud. Okay, why? Because they got the results, the outcomes that they were expecting at the business level. So we can consider that as patterns. Obviously, the first one on the top left is a born in the cloud, a kind of fintech here, which is mature now. It's quite an interesting one. And as you can see, these guys don't have legacy to move. They start immediately to go to conquer new markets with a very innovative capabilities architecture in place. The other 3 ones are big banks across the world with very different journey. So if we take the top right here, it's a banking industry, large, a global bank, starting with innovation and with specific applications on agility, etc., and now moving to a systematic approach of cloud. By the way, multi-cloud strategy with big infrastructure in the cloud, and now having deployed these capabilities of a new hybrid data center moving to data. Okay, so this is the one kind of pattern. The second pattern on the bottom left here is another bank starting with very big risk compute capabilities, big HPC workloads to do some calculation that they were removing from their data centers to the cloud with a super quick return on investment, and then moving to a very systematic program of moving applications into the cloud. So leveraging today and getting today value on agility, speed to market, etc. And the third one, which is a representative of a bank that has decided to become data-driven in its operations, starting building new applications with the cloud. So again, addressing more usage of the cloud through the developers and the modern architecture, and then moving to a fully data-driven operations implementation. So I will not say this one is good, this one is bad, this one. They are all good, and the reason they are good is because the customers are happy with them. Again, mapping the benchmark of Accenture here, this is how we can describe the business value that these banks have been able to build in their journey to the cloud. Okay, if I take the bottom left just to explain, being able to do a massive cost reduction in the risk compute, moving to today more reduction in technology cost, but also increasing the speed to market, increasing this kind of thing. Okay, so this is the way to look at it. And again, the pattern, there are multiple patterns. The right decision is focus first on what is required for you for the bank in its journey to the cloud, and then execute from there, addressing the business value first. Okay. Okay, so this has been the generic way of looking at a bank, looking at the journey, looking at the value that has been built until now, and if the journey is aligned with the business objectives. But looking at the level of a big bank is interesting, but probably not enough. Okay, because in a bank, in the universal banks that we have in Europe, for example, like Santander or Société Générale or whatever big banks in Europe that we have, we need to go one step down to look at what's happening at the application layer and what is happening at the business unit level. So looking at the journey that I've been explaining for the banking industry, we're trying to map that to business scenarios, okay, and business and usual scenarios that our customers are addressing with the cloud. So there is the back-end modernization, which is more the technical kind of cloud adoptions, from modernizing the data centers, etc. These are, let's say, the four scenarios that we have been defining. Looking at back-end innovation for a bank, which means building data insights and become data-driven in the organization, or front-end modernization, meaning modernizing or building new cloud-native applications for payments, for this kind of workloads that we see a lot on the market today. And third, of course, the lighthouse innovation, focusing on customer experience. This is what we see when a bank, for example, is building completely a new digital bank platform with innovation, with the real willingness to really conquer a new market. So these are the 7 scenarios where we can map the initiatives and where we can define where to start in the journey to the cloud, and and define the level of business value that these workloads will generate for the bank. So let's start with lighthouse innovation, focusing on customer experience. So again, measuring in the cloud the positioning of this kind of workloads, each colors being one of the workload, and the different bubbles in one color are the different months, so the journey by itself. So these are the lighthouse innovation. This is where they are positioned. So this is the kind of value that they can create. The key components, really the key components that are part of this journey, which are making the benefit for the bank, which is building the business value, are this one, from the application, PaaS services, API management, app services, service bus, to implement the event-driven kind of applications, with cognitive services used to do some machine learning, or used to enhance the customer experience, trying to anticipate the behavior, etc., and build on analytics on the fly analytics to be able to deliver the best experience based on real data. So these are the key components of an architecture that is positioned here in the lighthouse innovation, delivering business value, which is here a revenue transformation impact, and increasing client retention and acquisition. If you want to know what are the capabilities of what could be the business value that is generated by this kind of workloads, we have 3 benchmarks. Okay, we have been measuring on our side with Microsoft experience on projects that we have been doing with customers, an impact of 10%, not really good impact here, to more than 100% increase in client retention and acquisition in such a project. So this is very broad, and so it has to be analyzed. External data, meaning data coming from big tech, so meaning here McKinsey, Capgemini, EFMA, etc., that we have been consolidated, gives a rank between 10 and 40%. Usually at Microsoft, when we run a project with customers on these kind of topics, we are super conservative, and this is the kind of business value that we consider building a business case with the bank, building the business case, the business case with the bank between 10 and 20% increase of client acquisition and client retention. Okay, so this is the logic. The second kind of workloads is around front-end modernization. Let's look here at payment applications that we have, which is again leveraging the PaaS services on API management, event hubs, etc., and effectively choosing architecture between Kubernetes or containers or more serverless, full Azure, for example, kind of architecture. And again, these kind of workloads are really strong to enhance the product sales and the client activity. So this is really when people want to really increase their market position, their market share on some activities that they already have. And again, the benchmark here should super broad. On our side, super conservative when we build businesses with our customers. But the real measurement that we have with our different customers is between 11% and 83% increase in selling products and managing the customer activity. Okay, just to go to more on cost transformation. This is where you look more for optimizing the operations, optimizing the cost, or optimizing the cost and transform the cost and having an impact on that. So here, data-driven operations, illustration of data-driven operation. What does it mean in terms of services used? What are the key components that is delivering the value from Hadoop, from HD Insight at Microsoft, analysis, data lake, blah, 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 everything, Power BI embedded, and obviously capabilities in terms of storing data in a new format with Cosmos DB, Databricks, to manage the data and the data lake capabilities. So these are the key components. These are the expectations of implementing such an architecture. These are the expectations that you could have in terms of generating business value. Okay, I'm accelerating here. These are more the technical, so back-end modernizations, and of course the different services that are key in this kind of workloads, from the traditional network security operations, etc. And these are the benefits that can be achieved in terms of cost transformation in such scenarios. Okay. So let's move to something that we have been doing. I'm going I'm trying to explain here. I'm checking time. Am I still okay? No answer. Maybe I'm speaking to myself. So let's just explain how the business value is generated through time. Okay, which means if we look at a typical mobile banking application lifecycle, in fact, what we have been observing is that there are three major steps in three major stages in the lifecycle of such an application, which is the first stage is when you build it, so you have to put it in place with all the required capabilities, security components, technical components. Then the second phase is when this application is growing. Growing means having more and more customers in it. And then when you have customers in it, you need to keep them into the system, which means that you need to improve the experience of the customer. These are the three kind of cycles that we have been observing for such applications that we see with our customers. Giving an example of one here, which is the number of customers for one of these applications, the number of customers, the growth that has been observed through the different years. So 1 million the first year, 2 million the second year, 3 million the third year. That's a very linear kind of thing, which means that the application, because it has been developed in an agile way, has been able to deliver the new features as they were expected by the customers. And from this point where, you know, the features are here, you need to keep the customer. You don't want them to go to the competition. So then you work more on the experience of the customer. So you improve the level of digital, leveraging the more advanced services to enhance the experience with artificial intelligence and this kind of thing. So, and what we have been observing, because, you know, the idea here is to say, is my VM cheap or not? Which is the wrong question to ask in such a journey. The real question is, what is the cost of the customer on the platform? Because you can have the cheapest VM in your data centers. If you're not able to bring the customers on top of the VMs, that means nothing. So building on that, what we have been observing is leveraging the cloud with the advanced services, being able to grow the level of digital of the application, meaning leveraging more the data, more the advanced services that are artificial intelligence. The cost per customer has been able to really decline, which means that the value of the cloud is able to deliver whatever kind of level of digital has been able to deliver the business value that was expected, whatever the level of sophistication of the services has been used. So this is super interesting. And just as a benchmark, saying that if we were to do the same exercise, building the advanced capabilities on a IaaS kind of approach would have meant for the customer to be able to build the capabilities, so adding some cost. At the end, leveraging the advanced capabilities of the cloud without managing them manually has been delivering a result, which is that the cost per customers is divided by 2 compared to a more traditional infrastructure approach. So and everything is measured here. I think I'm at my time. Do you want me to stop? And I cannot see if there are some questions, so I'm happy to answer some questions so far if it's time. Anyone?
Hi, Laurent.
Anyone, Santiago?
Thank you very much for the tremendous presentation. We have one question in the room. They're interested in knowing what prevents organizations to succeed after migrating to cloud, or saying that in the other way around, what prevents those organizations to failure in the trip to cloud or in the journey to cloud? If you have any example that one failure because of the organization itself or whatever.
Yeah, a very good question. By the way, we are seeing banks, but it's true also in the other industries, failing or being very disappointed with the investment that they have been doing in the cloud because of the change management that has not been addressed correctly, which means that really the organizational part of working, taking decisions, etc. So really the change management that needs to happen needs to be synchronized with the cloud adoption. If you consider the cloud adoption like you were running data centers before, there is a big chance to be disappointed at the end. Okay, it's really about transforming the culture of the organization, of the bank, moving to more agile new way of working. The cloud is only the enabler. The adoption of cloud is not the target. Okay, this is the enabler of the culture transformation, of the business transformation of the company.
Sorry, I was on mute. Thank you very much, Laurent. Congratulations for your presentation, and merci beaucoup.
You're welcome.
Hope to see you soon.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Bye. And yeah, have a great session.
We will be back in a minute.
Thank you.